Hey everybody. Well, this is my first attempt to make a professional video. So, you're not going to hear the usual swearing out of me. I'm not using a shaky camera. I have a mouse that has a highlight. That's pretty fancy, isn't it? And this should be happening in high definition, hopefully. So, I was trying to think what could we go over very quickly that everybody probably needs to know. Something that would be very useful for full screen like this. I think what we're going to do, we're going to look at preferences real fast. I'm not going to, we've done this. I'm just going to do it very, very quickly. So audio device, I'm using the built-in core audio of my MacBook here because I don't have it hooked up to anything. And so latency, you always want to have your latency like, try to have it 10 and less. You know what I mean? But if your sound starts glitching out, you have to raise that latency thing up. You know what I mean? The lower, the better. But you start doing lots of effects and running 4 decks and things like that, and it starts glitching, popping, distortion, any kind of stupid noise, you need to bring that thing back up. If you start having this thing like at 20 some odd, the only real difference is if you do a lot of beat juggling, it's the time it takes from when you press something to when something happens on screen. So, a drummer would, under 15 seconds, that's what a drummer would want. Anything really over 10, a real hardcore finger drummer guy, he'll feel the difference. Um, don't worry about the routing, the phono. If you got it hooked into like an S4, it'll let you know you can run line or phono. If you have an S4 going. Output, it's pretty straightforward. We're not going to mess with that much. Set MIDI clock if you want to hook it up to machine. I've got another video where I've done that. Load only in the stop decks. If you're playing out, you really want that in there just in case you load into the wrong one. Load next at the end of the track. If you work on playlists, which I don't, and I probably should, that's good too. So when the track runs out, the next one pops right in and it's ready, queued up, ready to roll to mix into the next one. Initially queue load marker, activate fade in, fade out markers. Don't worry about the rest of that. Uncheck that. If you're using a controller, you don't need to reset the deck controls because your faders and stuff are controlling everything. So you don't want any weird soft takeovers. Transport. Make sure this is on beat sync. Out of the box, it's never on beat sync. This here will adjust the range of your tempo fader. The higher this number, the less control you have of it, unless you have a very long tempo fader on your controller, which most guys really don't. So keep that reasonable. I wouldn't. You can do them individually, or you know what? I've done some crazy stuff. I've had up around 16, but try not to go much more. Remix decks can be the tempo master. Sure, why not? Only on-air decks can be the tempo master. So that basically says only the ones that are running can be the tempo. It's up to you. You want that on scratch, high quality if you have a fast computer. If you don't have a fast computer, go buy one. Don't. But if you are having some issues, and that's for the key lock, right? So basically, what that means is when you're changing the tempo of the song and it's keeping the pitch of the voice the same. A fast computer will make it sound great. On a slow computer, when you click that, it might sound a little bit more digital sounding. It might not sound the best, but it does still work. It changes for loop size, minimum playing count, bars per phrase, 16 bars. That's what you want to set at. Mouse control, put on snap. You put on vinyl, it means you can scrub through the track over here. If it's on snap, it just snaps to the closest grid, so snap makes more sense. What else do we have here? Deck layout. Biggest one here, like I said, this is going to be quick. Spectrum, put that on full. So that way you have a colored waveform, which makes far more sense. You want to see your key. You want to see those beats because those beats indicate there's your first beat, Like, so that's beat 1 out of 4. And we're just going to scrub back here for a second so you can see. There you go. Fourth bar, fifth bar. You'll see what happens here as we go into our first phrase. Second phrase, right? So you get the idea. Like, it gives you an idea. You don't have to beat count. So you follow some song structure of dance music, right? So you track BPM. You know what? There's a couple other things. Just take a look through. You might find something that you like to use yourself, right? There might be something you don't need. Everything else, like, it's all up to you. I like the Z ISO and the Z filter because it's actually a kill. This here, uncheck that crap. When that's on and you're running an S4, it's like, put that to none. I mean, it's way too low for a club environment. You have to take that off. There might be some guys that are going to comment and say, oh, no, 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 no. You need it on for certain reasons. All I can tell you, I don't know the reasons behind it. I don't, honestly, I'm not an audio engineer guy. I turn the crap off and it's much louder and it competes with my DD-JSX. So I like to see my stuff on screen. That's my preference, especially if you're not using the controller, if you're just like playing around on the side with it. Effects, you can put them to, I like post fader, so when you fade out your effects there, you don't really need to have 4 sets of effects, but if you want, it's up to you. Don't really need to change anything there, nothing really there. Here, you can import music folders at startup, so anything you add in there, analyze new imported tracks. I don't know so much about that one there, because if you save everything automatically, you can really kill yourself. You know what I mean? So, you don't want to show consistency report either. If you want to add any more music folders, that's the place to do it. So say your downloads folder, for instance, you're using like a whatever program, you have a downloads folder. You can add downloads, so every time you download a song, it pops in there and this thing imports automatically and analyzes it. You know what I mean? And it's there. So that's an easy way to do it if you don't want to move your stuff around and organize it that much. Analyze options, I say, 88 to 175 is a pretty good number, covers most genres of music. If you set it, say you set it there, the problem would be house music, let's say, at 128. It might see it as count it in half time and see it as 64. It might count it normally and count it as 128. And you don't want that. So we'll do that. We want to set the beat grid, store beat markers as hotkeys. So when this is set, that the first beat of the grid becomes your first hotkey, which I kind of like to have. You want to do things in open key. That follows the Camelot wheel, but if you want to change it to musical key, you can. Controller manager, that's all about mapping. We're not going to get into that on this video. So that basically sets everything up the way you should have it set up. And you can play around with it, but that's the main deal. So guys, thanks for stopping by. Hope this video is maybe a little bit more professional, appease some of the masses, and we can still have a good time and hopefully learn some stuff. Talk to you guys soon.